Inside Srebrenica, one man emerged as a military leader. Brigadier Nasir Oric soon became legend and was known as the defender of Srebrenica. He attacked nearby Serb villages in order to get enough food for the 40,000 townspeople. Some 50 Serb villages were destroyed by Muslim forces. Women, children and old people were brutally murdered. Srebrenica became an isolated and hated enclave in Serb-controlled territory. Misa got a chance to confront Oric directly a little later. An American TV crew hired Misa for an interview with Oric inside Srebrenica. But Misa was ordered not to speak. If anyone had realized he was a Serb, he could have been killed.
The Serbs have accused him of murdering people.
Pa mi ratnici vjerovatno smo ubijali ratnike, odnosno vojnike, a ljude to može da ima više značenja. Ako se kaže vojnike na vatrenoj liniji, onda je to sigurno, jer rat je bio i čitav svijet zna da su se vodile ovdje žestoke borbe i vjerovatno prilikom pucanja možda sam nekog i pogodio.
What about innocent people? They're saying murder.
Što se tiče tih stvari, to su samo bile dezinformacije od strane Srba i kod mene na ovim prostorima nije tako nešto se desilo.
But an amateur video reveals another story. On the second anniversary of the formation of the Bosnian Muslim army in Srebrenica, Brigadier Nasir Oric took credit for the attacks on Kravica and many of the Serb villages.
Sa svim pratećim službama. Borci pod komandom štaba svojim neizmjernim moralom u borbi na život i smrt uspjeli su izgledati veliki broj pobjeda, kao što su borbe za Zalazje, Brežane, Podravanje, Krniće, Boljevica, Bjelovac, Gogola, Kamilica, Kravica i tako redom.
Influential Srebrenica police chief Hakija Meholjic was invited to a conference at the Holiday Inn, Sarajevo, to discuss the Stoltenberg-Owen peace plan. Hakija and the Srebrenica delegation were full of hope.
I mi smo tada uveli su nas u jednu prostoriju gore na ovom spratu. Bio je veliki sto, mi smo seli za sto, mi delegacija i bio je Alija Izetbegović kao predsjedništva Bosne i Hercegovine. Imali smo sastanak, znači, sa predsjednikom.
The Srebrenica representatives were surprised that the president himself received them.
Reći izvorno ono što je rekao predsjednik Izetbegović. Dragi moji Srebreničani, kako ste? Dobro je kako ste vi, predsjednik. Nudi mi Clinton da uđu četnici u Srebrenicu, izvrše pokolj 5000 muslimana i bit će vojna intervencija NATO snaga na srpske položaje u cijeloj Bosni i Hercegovini. Šta vi mislite o tome? Ja sam skočio i kajem, jesu ti lud, ko će dati ti na klanje, ti ne ideš, ti na klanje, ti ne ideš. Ovo je ono što je on rekao.
Izetbegović then ended the meeting. Still appalled by the president's outrageous proposal, Hakija and the Srebrenica delegation were paraded as war heroes.
Heroji Srebrenice, Žepe i Goražda, pa vas molim da ih pozdravite.
Poslije toga smo nas uveli na sjednicu, sjednica je trajala. Bilo je to mučno i mi smo diskutovali među sobom da smo bili frapirani, da ne možemo dođemo sebi, da je li to moguće da smo mi dati, da će nas dati, da će nas žrtvovati.
Major Huso Sajilović from Srebrenica retired from the army in 2008. For the first time, he can talk freely about the civil war, and he gives a very different picture of what happened inside Srebrenica. As an officer in the Muslim army inside the demilitarized zone, he witnessed how the UN peace agreement was sabotaged by Oric.
Ono što je sigurno da u Srebrenici nije bilo predato naoružanje od strane armije Erbih. Predato je jedno 15 do 20% onog najnekvalitetnijeg naoružanja, lovačke puške, pokvareni mitraljezi i tako dalje.
In addition to all the weapons that were not handed over, a number of top-secret weapon drops took place at the end of 1994. The Serbs protested in vain. On the east coast of America, Fazler meets former spy John Schindler, who in 1996 was the chief analyst in Bosnia for the US intelligence-gathering National Security Agency. He connects the weapon drops directly to the fate of Srebrenica.
I mean, look, the fact that the black flights were going on was the most open secret imaginable at the time. There was no secret at all. The only secret was exactly whose aircraft are they, who's paying for it, what exactly are they dropping. It was the black flights, arms from the black flights into the Srebrenica enclave that actually was the proximate cause of Operation Krvaja 95. That was the attack on Srebrenica, because General Mladic repeatedly protested the UNPROFOR, saying, look, these guys are bringing arms in the enclave. These flights are landing, they're bringing arms in via helicopter, landing to helicoptering arms in. The Serbs knew this. This has to stop, and UNPROFOR had to go. UNPROFOR, of course, had to know some of what was going on. They knew the flights were happening. But they were powerless to stop it, because, again, the airspace was under the control of NATO, which meant de facto under U.S. control.
The US government has always denied involvement in arms smuggling, but Irsad Sipilovic, who fled from Yugoslavia and became an American citizen, was involved in Bill Clinton's election campaign in 1992. He admits that he smuggled arms into Bosnia.
I can say personally, because I was involved in delivering some weapons from Yemen to Bosnia, that Americans have looked the other way. There was donated equipment and supply, and it was transported to Bosnia.
These weapons were distributed by horseback and helicopter flights into Srebrenica. Documents discovered at Nase Oric's headquarters record the delivery of guns, ammunition, radios, rocket-propelled grenades and anti-tank missiles. This was in breach of the UN mandate and agreement on the demilitarized zone made with Serb General Ratko Mladic. The UN wanted 6,000 peacekeepers for Srebrenica, but got only 450 lightly equipped soldiers. It was obvious, from a military point of view, that the UN couldn't defend the demilitarized zone in Srebrenica.
The unfortunate thing with the agreement on the safe areas was that the Security Council accepted that you could have bases within the safe area, and that means you could shoot out from the safe area on the Croats and the Serbs. And so they did. And this was responded to by shooting into the safe areas. So when the people, the civilian population, came and believed they were in a safe area, it was not a real safe area.
Humanitarian aid also began to cross Serb lines into the demilitarized zone. Brigadier Nase Oric soon took control of the aid deliveries and sold them on the black market.
Kriminalne aktivnosti, sve dobre stvari I loše stvari u Srebrenici uglavnom vezuju se za Nasera Orića.
While Oric and his cohorts were partying and getting rich on selling international aid, poor and hungry women and children were desperate to get out of the doomed, mafia-controlled town.
Izetbegovic said to more than one person that, you know, look, we're going to lose Srebrenica in the peace settlement anyway. Why don't we just make some political points on this? And even if they all get slaughtered, we didn't do it.
On the 26th of June, 1995, President Alija Izetbegovic ordered an attack on the little Serb village of Višnja. Four Serbs were killed, sheep were stolen, and houses were torched. A lot of families were made homeless. The only thing the attackers left behind was a clue to who they were, a package with American-manufactured first aid kits. There were no military targets connected to this place, only Serb families working on their farms. For the Serbs, this attack became a marching order. On the 6th of July 1995, the Serb general Ratko Mladic attacked Srebrenica.
A lot of, more than 1,300 Serb civilians butchered by Muslim forces under Nasser Oric. It was very clear that if Srebrenica fell, there were going to be a lot of Muslims who were simply going to be massacred.
Mladic had 4 tanks and 400 men. In reserve, he also had 1,600 armed locals. But Mladic didn't trust them, since they lacked discipline and would use every opportunity to revenge Oric's attacks on the villages. The Serbs were outgunned by NATO's fighter aircraft, 450 Dutch peacekeepers, and Oric's 5,500 soldiers.
Under what circumstances would he leave?
Okolnosti nema koja bi mogla da utiče da mi napustimo Srebrenicu. Znači, one grobove koje smo ostavili ovdje, one živote koje smo dali za ovu Srebrenicu, za ovaj dio Srebrenice, je nemoguće da mi napustimo tu Srebrenicu i nećemo nikad do posljednjeg čovjeka, dok bude živio i dok bude se kretao u ovim terenima, nećemo sigurno otići. A i kasnije, naši duhovi moraju ostati tu.
But Nasser Oric's promise to defend Srebrenica to the last man was an empty one. Already in April 1995, he'd left Srebrenica by helicopter with 12 of his commanders. Nasser Oric was not prepared to become a martyr for Srebrenica. Sailovic was no longer an officer in 1995. He had criticized Oric's black marketeering and was kicked out of the army. Others, who did the same, were severely beaten or killed.
S Alijom smo imali razgovor u 5 sati ujutru, otvoren, da spašava žene, djecu i starce, a nas vojno sposobni nek nas pobiju kad nećemo da se branimo. On je rekao da mi držimo još 2 sata, međutim nikad se više nije htio javiti. Ja sam u ovom ratu izgubio 2 brata i oca koji nisu uzeli oružje. Ja jesam uzeo oružje. Plakali smo mi taj dan kad je Srebrenica pala. Vidjeli smo izdaju i od Alije Izetbegovića i od međunarodne zajednice. Imaju samo dobri i loši ljudi u svakom narodu. Alija je loš čovjek.
Most of the 15,000 Muslim men in Srebrenica had no intention of surrendering. They feared Serb revenge after the village massacres in 1992 and 93 and tried to escape through the Serb-controlled mountains that surrounded Srebrenica. The column of men was a mix of soldiers and civilians.
The fact is, within 24 to 48 hours of the fall of Srebrenica on 11 July 1995, elements of the Bosnian Serb army under the control of their counterintelligence service executed probably about 2,000 Muslim males, most of them prisoners of war, disarmed prisoners of war. And the other 5,000 or so Muslims who were killed over the next 5 days during the breakout by small to large groups, accompanied by the battalion-sized groups trying to break through with civilians with them back to their second corps lines around Tuzla. And they were just killed in large numbers by artillery fire, by machine gun fire, because the Serbs were able to locate them. They knew where they were. But again, to the Serbs, to be fair, this looked a lot more like a conventional military operation.
President Alija Izetbegović was buried as a national hero in 2003. But in Srebrenica, he has a very different legacy.
Alija buried us all.